Darth Vader is probably the most iconic villain of all time, and it took many people to bring the character to life. In the original trilogy alone, there were 5 people who came together to play Darth Vader. 6 if you count the special edition. James Earl Jones, as most people know, famously voices Darth Vader, but he's not the man under the mask. Darth Vader's physical presence is actually played by David Prowse, but behind the scenes it was not all like it seemed on screen. So for today I'm going to talk about the story behind Darth Vader's actor. David Prowse is an English bodybuilder slash weightlifter who has appeared in minor roles in movies and television. He helped Christopher Reeve bulk up for his role in Superman and for the sequels, and trained Carrie Elwes for his role in The Princess Bride. George Lucas, who was casting for Star Wars, took interest in David Prowse when he saw him in the 1971 film A Clockwork Orange, because he needed someone tall and muscular to play one of the roles. His agent got in touch with him and he met up with George to discuss the movie. George gave him the choice of 2 roles. He could either play the role of Chewbacca or Darth Vader. Prowse immediately accepted the role of Darth Vader because he wanted to play the villain, and it kind of all worked out because Peter Mayhew, who plays Chewbacca, already wanted to play Chewie, so they both got the roles that they wanted. And everything up till the release went smoothly. Prowse brought good energy to the role, and you can tell through his performance in A New Hope, even though Darth Vader only has 12 minutes of screen time in the first film. And when they were filming A New Hope, Prowse asked if he was going to need to record his lines again because it was hard to hear him under the mask. George said that he didn't need to worry and they were just going to get him to record his lines later on in the recording studio. Little did Prowse know that his lines were going to be dubbed over. Prowse has a West Country accent and it doesn't sound very intimidating.
Start tearing this ship apart piece by piece until you find those tapes. Find the passengers of this vessel. I want them alive!
George's excuse for this was simply they forgot to record Prowse's dialogue and it would be too expensive to fly him over where they were editing the film. Chances are, though, this is not true, and George just didn't want Prowse's voice in the finished film. So that is when they found James Earl Jones to voice Vader, which is the perfect fit, and that's where we got Darth Vader's voice that we are familiar with today. However, James Earl Jones didn't actually want his voice to be credited because he thought it was nothing more than a special effect. But in the special edition, his name was added to the credits. Prowse was obviously disappointed that his voice was dubbed over, but he did agree to come back for the sequel, The Empire Strikes Back. However, I will add that he was still bitter about the whole thing and definitely wasn't the nicest to George when it came to filming. He would still speak his lines when filming because the actors needed to respond and to react to what he was saying. But knowing that his voice was going to be cut anyway, sometimes he would even change the lines to something so ridiculous that had nothing to do with the scene. It was reported that the actors would burst out laughing because of this. So there was definitely tension between George and Prowse. And when it came to film the I Am Your Father scene, they kept Prowse in the dark about this, and gave him other lines such as Obi-Wan killed your father. Even Mark Hamill was told before they started filming. Now, before this, back in 1978, David Prowse was in an interview or a convention, and there he made this crazy prediction that Darth Vader was going to be Luke Skywalker's father. Obviously, this was just a lucky guess because The Empire Strikes Back didn't even come out until 1980, and the script hadn't even been handed out to the actors yet. And I don't think even George Lucas knew that this twist was going to happen yet because it sure seems that way in A New Hope.
He betrayed and murdered your father.
No, I am your father.
Prowse, like everyone else, only found out the big reveal when the film came out. Prowse was not happy about being kept in the dark about the whole thing, and things did not get better when they started to film Return of the Jedi. When they were filming a lot of the lightsaber scenes, Prowse would accidentally break the sticks that they used, and a lot of the lightsaber battles that they were filming were quite complex in this film, so they had to get a stunt double in for Prowse to do some of the harder scenes. Now, Bob Anderson, who was the stunt double for Vader, was David Prowse's stunt double in the 2 previous films. Now, when filming a lot of the lightsaber scenes, instead of teaching David Prowse how to use a lightsaber correctly, they just got Bob Anderson to do it instead, so Lucas wouldn't have to deal with Prowse. And that's not all. At the end of Return of the Jedi, as you know, Luke unmasks Vader in his final moments. But that isn't David Prowse, that is actually Sebastian Shaw. Apparently they didn't want Prowse to be the one under the mask when Darth Vader's face is finally revealed. Prowse had no idea about the reveal at the end because he'd played the character for 6 years, and it was not him who was revealed under the mask at the end. Prowse was very dark about this, and before the film was released in 1983, it was reported that someone leaked the ending about how Darth Vader will die at the end of Return of the Jedi. George blamed the whole thing on Prowse, although he denied that he never did leak the ending. Now, this was the early 80s and it didn't spread like crazy compared to today with social media, but it's still a pretty big deal that the ending got out. Either way, George banned Prowse from all official Star Wars events, and in David Prowse's contract with the original trilogy, he was supposed to get a share of the profits, but he never did. I think we can all agree that Prowse definitely got the shorter end of the stick and was probably not treated that nicely by George Lucas. Now, it is hard to decide who to point the finger at here, but I do think David Prowse does not get enough credit when it came to playing Darth Vader. He never made another appearance in the prequels or the sequels, but I don't think this has anything to do with the feud between him and George, and more to do with the fact that he's getting older, now at the age of 85, and does struggle with arthritis and he had prostate cancer. But even through all of that, David Prowse has still stayed pretty active in the fandom. He has his own book called Straight from the Force Mouth and happily signs autographs for fans, and he's very proud to play such an icon like Darth Vader. But there you go, there is the story behind David Prowse, the man who wears the Darth Vader suit. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next Friday.